Oh, oh, oh.
No.
Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh,
No.
oh. Oh, oh, oh. The right
Welcome into the
stuff. I
weekend
know.
sports buzz. I do
Oh,
believe we are live.
oh. We are.
We didn't hear the rejoin, but yeah, this is the weekend sports
Oh,
buzz.
great.
1450 AM, 1450 to sportsbuzz.com. You may have caught Mark singing a little bit there.
Maybe. That would have
He's
been okay.
he's in the zone. He's ready today. He's tired,
I'm
but
extremely tired.
extremely tired again. Weekend sports buzz. I'm Tyler Boyd, Mark Blankenbaker, KentuckySports.co, cardsandcats.com. Get on there, check it out. Great information going on throughout the past couple of days. Right now, obviously with the Sugar Bowl that just took place over the week. Mark was down there with his guy, Crumb's Revenge on Twitter, Mike Lindsay. They were getting it done around the crowd. It seems that you all probably made 3,000, 4,000 more fans over the weekend, friends.
Oh, yeah, we could have. I mean, we met so many people on Bourbon Street that it was incredible. The whole experience in New Orleans, period. I mean, even driving down on 65 to 59 and into the Crescent City, New Orleans was red. And I really was not expecting that at all. Like, I thought we would have 15,000 fans and that, we would be that Florida fans would show up. I mean, we saw the ticket sales before we left, but everybody talked about the secondary market. Florida fans were impossible to find. Like, we couldn't find them, and the ones that did show up were very apologetic that there weren't more of them. It was like they were like so like embarrassed by the fans that didn't show to come and support an 11-1 team. SEC runner-up or whatever. They couldn't understand why this was happening to the Florida Gators and the big bad SEC. And there was actually one moment where it was the opening day. It was like the day after the U of O UK game when we first got down there, and a Florida Gator fan was like, "Should we start an SEC chant for all these Card fans?" And the guy that he was talking to was like, I'm gonna have to do that later because it was just so overwhelming with red." That if you were any other fan than a Louisville fan on Bourbon Street for 4 nights, you were in the minority. That was even true the night that LSU played Clemson on Bourbon Street. That's typically a very LSU heavy area, and there were a lot of LSU fans out, but they were still heavily outnumbered on New Year's Eve on Bourbon Street. It was an incredible experience, and then you get down to the game. It's
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. I picked Louisville to win. Let's get that.
You did
out
say,
there.
you picked Louisville to win all 12 games of the season, if I'm correct.
13.
13th game. So,
13.
Congratulations, I guess, if you're proud of that.
Well, I am because they won 11-2. So anyway, so that's a pretty damn good percentage. So anyway, when it comes down to it, I thought that Louisville would win. I did not think they would win that easy. They won by 10 points and left 15 points on the field. Minimum.
I know you were at the game. You were a mile high in the press box.
It was high.
Very high from what our guy John Hancock was telling us. But the pregame, obviously, I was watching it, the pregame, ESPN and whatnot, and the Louisville players were, you could tell when they were, showing the field, showing what was going on, that the Louisville players were very excited to be there. You could see they were hyped. They were jumping up, down. They were basically living it up. Florida, they seemed to very calm. It was like, we're here. Let's come out, do work, go home with victory. They weren't as ready as Louisville was, in my opinion.
Well, that's on them. It's the Sugar Bowl. It's the crown jewel of the SEC. It always has been for over 60 years.
Except for the national championship.
Well, yeah, it is. But, you got to understand, Sugar Bowl is the SEC's thing. ESPN pays $80 million a year to broadcast that thing. So it is the Sugar Bowl. And if Florida wants to make the excuse, and if ESPN wants to give them the excuse that, hey, they didn't really want to play or they really weren't into it, well then maybe they're not competitors, because you could set me out in front of a table tennis against a 4-year-old kid, and I'm probably not going to let them beat me. And if it's you and me playing Monopoly, I'm going to beat you in that.
I'm going to go hard.
Exactly.
I'm going to get as many hotels as I can get.
Because I'm a competitor.
I am a competitor.
Because when it comes to playing something, I'm not going to go and show up for a week, prepare, and then mail in a performance. So if you want to give the Florida Gators that excuse or whatever, then you're copping them out really bad, and you're actually disrespecting them as competitors, a team that went 11-1 in the SEC. You're saying that a non-competitive, an inherently non-competitive group of kids win 11-1 in the big bad SEC. That's basically what you're saying.
I do agree with you. I've talked about it all week. I got the host inside the press box, and obviously I had you on a couple times, pregame and postgame. Got your thoughts from when you were down in New Orleans. So and I came to a realization after the game, after Louisville, I need to maybe rethink the way I look at things a little bit. I know it opened it up, and I can be fair. I'll be honest with everybody out there. I didn't think Louisville was going to win this game. I said 10 points, if you remember back. Obviously, it was not 10 points Florida. It was 10 points of Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
It was an outstanding performance. It was all got kicked off obviously with the interception, pick six. Nobody, you can't guess that. You don't guess how pick six touchdown first play game, especially for the run team. But that right there, it was over. As soon as that happened, it was over.
Yeah, it was, because now Florida has to do things that they don't really want to do. You know what I mean? They're not a throwing team, and Louisville picks off the pass, takes it to the house. Then Louisville gets a 3-and-out. And then Teddy Bridgewater gets pummeled on the first play of the game, the first snap that he gets, and then leads an incredibly long drive. And now Florida's down 14-0, having only snapped the ball 4 times. So they're on the ropes. They literally cannot drive the ball. They're struggling to get first downs. They're having trouble, just basically moving the ball. Louisville's in their backfield, and they're doing things outside of their element, and that's what Florida makes teams do typically. They make teams do things that they don't really do well, because what they do well is getting stopped. And in terms of, leading into the game and, your perception, and that was a lot of people's perception, but the thing is that conferences don't play football. I like this matchup for Louisville. I think starting in September, I was telling people I would really like to play Florida because they're a good team that's going to end up with a good record, and Louisville could beat them. I love the matchup. I would like the matchup against LSU. I would not like that matchup against Texas A&M. I wouldn't like that matchup.
They looked great last night.
Yeah, I would like the matchup against Oregon. I would like the matchup against Notre Dame. I would not want to play Alabama. And that's the thing, is that we can go down team for team, but the thing is that leading up to the game, everybody's like, "This is the SEC. This is the SEC." Well, Louisville didn't have to play the entire SEC. They had to play
one
Florida.
team. I do want to congratulate or thank you, I guess, for beating Florida for Kentucky. I don't care. You can any Louisville fans say, "Oh, 27." I don't care. That doesn't affect me at all. Congratulations, you beat Florida. That's all. You brought up the stat before the show started there of the record so far in the bowl games. The SEC is currently 4-3. They have 2 to go, 1 today, and then obviously the national championship. Big East is 3-1. They have 1 more to go today as well.
That's pretty typical if you go back in the postseason. For the last 5 or 6 years, the Big East has constantly had a better record in bowl games than a lot of other conferences. Around. One of the interesting ones is the ACC normally tanks in their bowl games, and they actually have a great record this year. What was it that we came up with on the ACC's record there?
I didn't actually write.
Oh, you didn't write it down?
I wasn't too worried about them.
I think it was like 4-2.
4-2 something.
I think.
Well, it kind of correlates back to basketball. Look at the Big East and basketball over the last so many years. How many teams they get in? A lot of them go out in the first weekend.
Yeah.
Really quickly. This is kind of like that setup for the SEC. They have a lot of teams in. Some teams will lose it early.
Right.
Obviously the powerhouses have generally won. Texas A&M won. Alabama is coming up. They're favored to win. Who knows? It could be an upset, but it kind of goes back basketball and football on one.
Well, I think it could be like a style type thing, because like if you look at Texas A&M, they really play Big 12 style football with the passing game and things like that. Georgia, another passing type team, where basically they throw the ball quite a bit. There's a lot of teams in the SEC that really they run, or they throw to set up the run. And Georgia and A&M.
Alabama does the best in the country this season.
Yes. Well, Alabama or Georgia and A&M, they run to set up the pass.
Mm-hmm.
And, Manziel is an incredible player, totally deserving of the Heisman. I think that Teddy Bridgewater deserved to be in New York this year next to Colin Klein. I don't believe that he deserved to win the Heisman Trophy this year because Johnny Manziel's numbers, the way he played, on a big stage constantly.
Beat Bama at Bama.
Well, yeah, I mean, he beat Bama and he had better numbers than everybody. I mean, I think he literally broke the all-purpose yardage total offense record in NCAA history as a freshman. Now, can he do that for 3 or 4 years in the SEC, running around, being the main option, toting the ball 90% of the time for one team? I don't know, but it's fun to watch. I love that Manziel guy. But
he's good. He's only a freshman now. He's got a lot on his shoulders coming into next year. Just
definitely.
won Heisman, just won a Cotton Bowl, pretty easily it seemed.
But there's not a gamer like Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think like a more clutch guy.
I saw something that you tweeted out, Mark. I didn't get to ask you about this or mention it to you. You after the game, I guess you're on the elevator with an official from the Sugar Bowl, and then you basically talking MVP, and he's something quote unquote. We don't even talk about it.
Yeah. We were getting ready to get on the elevator. There was a long line because there's only two that go down, and they hold them for the coaches to go, and everybody's trying to get down to the field because that's when they allow non-photography press onto the field for the last 5 minutes of the game. So there was a lot of people trying to get down there because the game was in hand at the time. Louisville, I think, was up 17 or maybe even 20 at the time. It was before the kickoff return and before Florida's final touchdown when they went for two. So they were up by 23 points, I believe, at the time. So the game is well in hand, and we are getting ready to get onto the elevator. And the Sugar Bowl official, I'm just kind of talking to him about the game, and they're like, "Yeah, we're really happy that all these Louisville fans showed up because," and Tom Jurge kind of echoed this, that the Sugar Bowl president said we're dead without the red because they had 30,000 people and Florida brought like 15. They and it was probably less than that, but they gave them the courtesy of announcing 15,000. But this guy's like, we're so happy that Louisville fans came, and he goes, and as far as the game goes, we didn't expect this at all. We thought that it would be a much closer game, but he did say that we're not even really taking a vote for the SEC, for the MVP, that it was just basically a mere formality.
Exactly. He basically did it himself. 384-1450, the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzzline. Good little first segment we got going on there. Mark was down in New Orleans. We're getting his official recap at this time while he's back in town finally sitting beside me. Glad to have you back here, Mark.
Yeah, man. And, 10.125 million people watched the Sugar Bowl. That was up 4% from last year's Virginia Tech-Michigan game.
Yeah, I mentioned that all week. 6.4 this year, 6.3 last year. Not much of a difference, but hey, it eclipsed them. And not everybody thinks the Louisville's market is weak.
Right.
It's not.
I mean, you look at a market like Michigan, okay? Michigan and, Florida would be very comparable, I would think, fan bases in terms of size. And then you got Virginia Tech, a big state school, that would, I guess, thinking about it, they probably would have a bigger fan base than Louisville as well, but Louisville draws a higher number. So I really like that. It was the lowest attended BCS game in history, but let me say, that's not Louisville's fault. No. Louisville brought the fans.
Imagine how much money the city of New Orleans and right outside the parishes have made from Louisville and Lexington and Kentucky this year.
Yeah, from the state.
Final Four and now the Sugar Bowl.
They are loving
us.
The state of Kentucky.
That's huge for the future.
And that's actually funny that you mention it. A lot of taxi cab drivers and people around the city were calling it New Orleans or Lou Orleans, and they were actually clowning the Florida fans because they weren't there. Like, the whole city of New Orleans was rooting for Louisville because they were there in the Final Four, and Florida wasn't there. They didn't show.
Is it weird that they have the Saints symbol, that is the Louisville symbol?
The Fleur-de-lis.
The Fleur-de-lis.
Or,
kind of a combo.
Both French cities.
Both French.
New Orleans was founded, they've actually been under three flags: Spain, France, and the United States. Louisville, obviously named after King Louis. Very French elements. The river town. There's some really good parallels. Louisville's a town that likes to party. We host, the Derby.
What a better place to go than Bourbon Street.
Right. And so Bourbon Street was a great town for Louisville fans to go as a big event city, Everything is right there and compact. I've been to the Orange Bowl. I've been to several bowls. I've been to a lot of sporting events. There's not a better event than the Sugar Bowl, period. And that's another thing I don't understand. New Year's Eve on Bourbon Street, you're a Florida fan. Your team's in the Sugar Bowl. How is this? How do I'm? There's a disconnect. I'm sorry. You haven't been in the Sugar Bowl. You've been in the Sugar Bowl. That was the second time in 12 years. It's not like they've been going there.
First big bowl under Muschamp.
Right. And you're 11-1. You haven't been there in like 4 or 5 years. It's not like you're burnt out on it. I don't get it. I'm sorry. It was a blast.
I'm with you. And I can tell you're still living it up right now. 384-1450, Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzz Line. Give us a shout with your thoughts. 414-1450, the Lotus Gunworks text line. We are going to hit a break here. Of course, so at 9:40, we have Tony Chase coming on, and then at 10:20, Matt Dennison. We're going to talk a little high school sports and Kentucky stick horses. So stick with us. This is the Weekend Sports Buzz.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Buzz. Let us know what you think. Give us a call on the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzz Line at 384-1450.
We're back here to Weekend Sports Buzz. Myself, Tyler Boyd, Mark Blankenbaker. Check us out on Twitter at U of L Sheriff 50 for Mark, and I am at Boyd KentuckySports.co. Go follow us. And, of course, you can follow the 1450 Sports Buzz crew. They're always tweeting out good information, news right at your fingertips. That's at 1450 Sports Buzz. Go on there and follow us all. 384-1450, the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzz on. Anybody want to get it in here? People are back in town now. Finally, everybody's back from New Orleans officially, it seems. Any fans that were down there want to talk about their times, maybe their funnest moment of their trip, call in and let us know. 384-1450. That's one thing I did want to ask you, Mark, before, last segment we got going. It was a great segment. What was outside of the game? No, not the game. What was the best time you had?
Well, the Sugar Bowl media party, I didn't have a whole lot of hope for. I honestly, I thought we were going to go and eat some free food and drink some drink.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. And watch a little NIU Florida State and just kind of, maybe do some networking and,
Hey, I'm Mark.
Yeah, but keep it calm before we got like a little pregame.
A little calm before a storm.
But what happened was you go up and they have the food. And they have the drinks, and they have the game.
What kind of food? Some delicious stuff?
It was like prime rib and New Orleans flavor type stuff, Creole and gumbo and just, imagine it.
Everything.
Okay, it's New Orleans food.
Yes.
Well, then we go out to the balcony, and I noticed before I went out to the balcony, and there are 10 tables, okay, full of beads, okay? So we are
Is this on Bourbon Street? Is this right
on Bourbon Street?
Okay.
We literally have a balcony on Bourbon Street. We have security, okay, which is key.
It's very key.
So we start throwing the beads into people's open drinks. So if you didn't have a lid on your cup
from that are on the street,
and you were on, we were tossing these beads into your cup, or at least trying to.
Yes.
So we started. And then more people started, and then more people started. The next thing you know, the balcony is full of media members throwing beads and it pelting people, literally. So it's like boom, 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 boom. And, I'm standing there next to Chris Leak and talking all kinds of noise to him. Like, dude, you're the worst thrower of beads I've ever seen.
Chris Leak, former quarterback?
Quarterback of Florida Gators.
National champion.
And I'm like, yeah, it's got a different trajectory than a football, doesn't it, Chris? So it was really funny. Everybody was having a good time. We gave out a lot of beads. It was funny when people weren't suspecting it, and the next thing you know, they have a bead hitting them in their cup or on their chest.
They're
or in
just
their
pissed
head.
off because they just spent $12 on a 16-ounce beer and it's gone.
No. Only one person we saw drop it, but there was this extra wide rimmed red slushy deal, and we totally did nail that, and it went all over this guy's shirt. So we felt like kind of a jerk about
then you
that
started
one.
cracking up.
But it's really a New Orleans compliment to have somebody throw beads at you. So nobody's really got. There were a few people who got upset, but those people weren't really fun.
Nobody's complimented when they're getting beads legitimately thrown at them because you guys in the media are trying to ruin their drinks. You're trying to ruin their drink. That's not a compliment.
Not.
I know Matt loves to just drink, and if he had somebody throw a bead in his cup, he's coming after you. You're lucky those.
That's why we had security.
Security,
because a couple people actually were upset.
Exactly.
But no, for the most part, I would say 99.99%. People were, were okay with it. The other great time that we had was just meeting folks, posting our location on Twitter, having people show up. We brought our camera with us everywhere, so we have a lot of incredible.
Cardsandcats.com, y'all going to have a lot of video posted.
Yeah, we do. Myself and Crumb's Revenge, at Crumb's Revenge on Twitter. He's making a video right now. I'm kind of out of the process at this point. We filmed.
You were in the process.
We coordinated. But now in terms of editing and put it together, this is his video now, and that was the most fun part, was meeting everybody that, does follow us on Twitter, because like we were real time tweeting where we were. People were showing up
I
and
almost drove down
interacting.
there.
It was incredible. You should have.
Just to come hang out with you. I think we got a caller on the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzzline, though. Let's go ahead and jump straight to it. Dave, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Down in New Orleans, there's a lot of people, well, I say a lot, there's a few people that actually from Louisville and have homes down there because they work on the racetrack. And there's a boat down there called the Natchez that actually the crew, they're all from Louisville. The captain's from Louisville, and actually have there's a neighborhood down there called Legion Field, and they have an area where these families, they all kind of live next to each other, and they call it Little Portland. It's pretty crazy.
It was, yeah. I mean, I didn't go on that boat, the Natchez, and I may not have even been in that area. I don't really know what it was called, but it was basically card fans everywhere, the entire time. How many days did you stay down in New Orleans?
Well, actually, we've got 2 horses down there right now. I was going down, I'm not now, but I usually go down for maybe a month. So, a lot of people, like I said, they have homes down there.
Wow.
So how
I can't imagine spending a month in New Orleans, like how I feel right now, 3 days later.
Dave has priorities, Mark. You're just down there to be a fool and hit Bourbon Street. Dave's down there to hit the racetrack with his horses. I guess that kind of set up perfect for you, didn't it, Dave? Louisville got to go to Sugar Bowl. You seem to be a Louisville fan. You got a place down there. It was perfect for you.
Oh, it was perfect. Yeah, it's great. But, hey, I enjoy you guys, and I enjoy really hearing the local guys.
We appreciate it, Dave.
We
Thanks for the
appreciate
call,
that.
as always.
We enjoyed doing it, so it's
yeah.
it's kind of a win-win for everybody. But man, I tell you what, just the people, the atmosphere. Oh, not cool. It wasn't cool actually. It was more interesting details. Is that we were on Bourbon Street, and with about 5 minutes till midnight, the New Orleans police are on horseback. Okay, on Bourbon Street.
They just go right up the street.
They just kind of that's how they patrol,
Duty patrol behind
which
them.
is fine. But 5 minutes to midnight, they took their horses and put them underneath the balconies, because people in the surrounding area of New Orleans will actually fire off their weapons up into the air at midnight, and people have been hurt and injured from bullets falling down. And so we were standing on the street filming, and we were planning on doing like this big filming thing, like right at midnight with the fireworks and everything. And we saw them do that with the horses.
So you stepped under one as well.
And we were like, we're going inside. Forget that.
You know, I was actually talking to my roommate about that on New Year's. I was like, he's a gun guy. We're all gun guys here. He's like, I'm going to shoot my gun off. I was like, you're not going to shoot your gun off in the middle of the city of Louisville. Maybe if we were in the country, that's cool. It's like, what if the bullet came down and hit me in the head?
Right. It actually did that to someone in 1994.
It doesn't kill you.
In 94, on Bourbon Street, a woman died because of that.
Really? So Mythbusters is wrong. They did that, and they said a bullet coming down isn't going to hit you hard enough to kill you.
Well,
so they're wrong.
It did in 94 actually kill somebody. And other times, people have just been injured, like, just like little flesh wounds or whatever. But you don't want that anyway. You know what I mean?
You should have took your chances. Come on now.
I should have taken my chances and just come home with a war wound.
You should have got a helmet on. Yeah. Find a little helmet somewhere. I'm sure there was one on Bourbon Street. Somebody was probably wearing a Spartan helmet or something. A medieval knight. So I don't know. If anybody else wants to jump in here and get their thoughts out, we appreciate Dave calling and get a little. That's perfect for Dave.
Oh yeah.
He lives in New Orleans, and 1 month out of the year he's got a place. He loves horses. And
incredible.
Perfect. I'm sure he wasn't the only one that it fell into his pocket just like that, being here, like you mentioned, Louisville. 384-1450 Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzzline, 414-1450 the Lotus Gunworks text line, and of course you need to get on livingforless.org. Check that out, because we are here at 1450 and livingforless.org, big partners. They have great deals going for you at all times. It's about $40 values. You can get on there, spend $15, get $40 value to places like Angio's, Bistro 42, Goose Creek Diner. You could also look at Boom Boss Pizza, for name one. Golfing. We're in the new year. It's warm. It's supposed to be warm the next week or so. They have plenty of golfing certificates on there. So get on livingforless.org. Check it out. You will enjoy it. I promise you. Save yourself a little cash in the pocket, because everybody wants to save them a little cash.
Right. Absolutely. And one of the other cool things that happened while we were down there is we were causing such a scene with our video camera and everything.
Did you have a giant camera? Or
No.
was it a nice little handheld?
It was like a little handheld.
kind of like
thing.
Matt's beautiful, nice little camera.
But it was, I don't know what it was. It was causing a scene wherever it was. Like,
cameras cause people to do things.
Pat O'Brien's bar actually tweeted us. It was like, we need you down here to film. So they invited us down and bought our drinks for like a while.
And that right there sold you.
And we were like, we're there. So it was kind of wild, like, you know, to have actual like bars tweeting at you because of what's happening on Bourbon Street.
This is
It was
kind of
kinda
cool.
fun.
You know, I know I've been talking about the game all week, you know, kind of breaking it down pregame and then postgame, kind of talking about it on the Inside of Press Box. But now you're finally here, Mark. You had to actually just get what happened in New Orleans, and this is good. Tomorrow I'm going to get the same thing from Kelly probably. I'm sure he's got another version of the story, considering that guy lost his phone.
That guy lost his phone. We were together. We were hanging out. We were having fun during the day.
Was this before the game?
Before the game, it was the day he got there. He got there on New Year's Day, and he met us.
Ready to go.
He met us at Cafe de Monde, and we had some beignets and coffee, and then we went to Fan Fest and Bourbon Street, just during the day type stuff, just to kind of like, hey, this is going on, killing time.
You got to check it out.
For the nighttime, and then we go to dinner. And he gets a hotel room on Bourbon Street, which is like
Perfect.
the Holy Grail, and
I think
and then
our
he
buddy
leaves.
Joel Gastrite, he was actually down there with, and he
Oh,
got
really?
the hotel. He's actually a graduate of Oldham here. He kind of went to Tulane and did some
Oh, wow.
sports work with Tulane.
yeah, that's
So
incredible.
he got hooked up. So we'll talk to
But
Kelly
I never
about that.
did hear any more from Kelly. I'm sure his stories are probably way better than
I
mine.
doubt it.
But we had an incredible time, and then, you know, at the game, you know, like I said, I thought we would win.
Any crazy moment during the game that you could see? You know, you were looking down at everything. Could you see maybe some crowd fights? I saw a video where a Gator fan got absolutely cracked by another. I don't know.
Another
if it was
Gator fan?
Another Gator fan. Or,
Oh, okay.
or somebody, because it was maybe a neutral fan.
No, to be honest with you, I didn't see any violence.
Not a lot of drunk craziness.
There was a lot of drunk happiness,
Yes.
even from Florida fans, and that's what I was saying before. If you can go to New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl or any other time probably, but especially to over New Year's Eve, if you can't have fun, then you're probably just not a fun person.
Probably not.
You know what I mean? And so everybody that was down there was in for a good time. The Florida fans were great. There was some trash talk, you know,
As there should
but
be.
but nobody got out of sorts that I saw. So you know, I didn't see any of that, and I was down there in the mix till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning almost every night, with all sorts of alcohol thrown around. You know, everybody
Popping bottles.
You know, it was wild. I'm not gonna lie, but it didn't get violent.
Did you
So,
pop champagne?
We didn't. No.
No champagne?
No.
Didn't cap it off with a little glass?
No champagne.
You went straight up hard bourbon. Did you keep it Kentucky?
You know what? It's actually difficult to find bourbon
I've heard
on
that.
Bourbon Street.
I've heard it's difficult to find bourbon a lot of places if you're not living in Kentucky.
Yeah.
We're lucky.
Which I thought
Matt,
was
you're
kinda funny.
definitely lucky. I know you love your bourbon. Anyways, let's go ahead and hit this break so we can get to our first guest coming up the next segment, Tony Chase, the owner of the Kentucky Stick Horses. So stick with us, the Weekend Sports Buzz.
Happy birthday, Duriel, from me and Lauren. My name is Mac Lethal, but I'm gonna spit some paler and faster fucking lyrics. Let's go. Yo, oh hi, my name's Mac. Ecstasy, cocaine, and crack, none of that. I just smoke green rock.
What up? What up?
Hi, hi,
Hi.
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 Hello.
Hi.
That's-
Which
For me. I hope there's another Final Four at UKUL so we can go together. I know. I'll go.
Oh, really?
We'll go hang out there. Grandma for a couple days.
I have friends that live in Atlanta, so yeah, it would work.
Oh, I'm seriously I'm going on the next trip wherever it is. No, obviously if it's UK.
You should have gone to Sugar Bowl regardless.
I know.
There are a few.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Buzz. Let us know what you think. Give us a call on the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzz Line at 384-1450.
We're back here at the Weekend Sports Buzz. This is the type of rejoin music we need on a more consistent basis. It gets my blood going. It gets me going here. It's early in the morning. I need something like that.
A little Metallica to start your day, isn't that? Or was that Metallica? That was, yeah.
Metallica.
Thank you, Adam. He's my music guy. I don't know anything about music.
Me
If it
neither.
weren't for
We're
Adam.
identical. We don't
Yeah.
know music at all. We
But-
are awful.
But we lean on him to make
You
sure that we're
know
taken
me.
care of.
We are. So if anybody wants to get in, 384-1450, the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzz Line. Our guy Tony Chase, owner of the Stick Horses. If he's supposed to give us a call here this segment, next segment, we'll try to get him on today. If not, I'm sure we'll get him on maybe tomorrow and then the next week. Because obviously their season does start tonight at Freedom Hall. Second season, I hear it's fun for all ages. Lacrosse is a big thing, Mark. You were talking about that on one of our break. You love seeing the physicality.
Yeah, I've been out to several Bellarmine field hockey game or lacrosse games as a result of my dad being the field hockey coach. And man, they were really a good time. Like those guys are, they're a blast. And
It's fast.
I just want to talk about my Lucky Charm real quick, if I can. While we
Lucky
wait
Charms. I had a bowl of those last night.
Yeah, but okay. So I got this thing. Okay, it's a Verizon Intuition phablet, and ever since I got it, Louisville they've gotten in the ACC, they've beaten Rutgers, they've kept Charlie Strong, they've gone to the Sugar Bowl. They beat Kentucky in basketball, and then they won the Sugar Bowl.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, this has all happened since I've had this thing, and it's incredible, and I upload all my videos with it because it has the best service
So I
ever.
need to basically what you're telling me is maybe accidentally bump it off the table and let it shatter one day.
Yes.
I'll do
Yes,
that.
you should. I actually left it in the car, but
You better remember
because
that.
I didn't want it to ring while we're on the air.
Good.
But man, it is just incredible. I uploaded all these videos while I'm riding from the Sugar Bowl, and it just never lost connection. It was amazing.
What else do you have to do on a 10-hour car ride? Let's go to the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzz Line because our guy is on the line right now. The owner of the Kentucky Stick Horses, Tony Chase. Tony, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
We're doing pretty good here. Myself, Kentucky fan, is in basking in Mark's, I guess, enjoyment. He's just got back from the Sugar Bowl, New Orleans. He couldn't be happier. Tony, let me ask you first. Are you a local college fan of maybe Louisville or Kentucky?
A little bit of both. I actually grew up in Henry County, and went to the University of Kentucky, so I'm a fan of both. I grew up close to Louisville and went to UK, so I love it when they both do well in sports.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I like the battle of the bluegrass to be number one, and I'm totally agree with you. Again, Tony Chase, owner of the Kentucky Stick Horses. Tony, the second season gets kicked off tonight at Freedom Hall, right?
That's right. Against the Boston Rockhoppers, is the only team that beat us last year.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Were you all the league champions your first season?
That's correct.
We
intend to be champions the second season as well.
That's fantastic, as I do remember that. At the end of the year last year, seeing that in the the local news and whatnot, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I need to get out there. I was talking to our guy Dave Spelker of Vite Magazine, who kind of hooked us up. He was telling me that if you haven't been out to one of these events, one of these games at Freedom Hall, it's one you need to go check out because it's fun for all ages. Tell us a little bit about what goes on at the Stick Horses.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, you've got action-packed, fast-paced, hard-hitting toss with guys that have played professionally in the MLL, NLL, and every one of them have played at pretty high levels collegiately. And then On top of that, we've got our Phillies, the dance team, and then there's in-game promotions and activities for the fans. At one end, we've got the Kids Corral, which is hosted by Kazoing. It's a nice, one of those bouncy, jumpy areas. And at the other end, hosted by Budweiser, we've got the Paddock Pub, and that's sort of the adult play area. So there's a little bit of everything for everybody.
That's awesome. And, it's good that you all both do the kid section and the adult section because, Louisville's a party town. Everybody likes to go out and have a drink here and there. So having that involved with Budweiser, that's, in my opinion, a huge thing. Now, how many games consist of the season? And where's, I guess, is the general region here around the Kentuckiana area, or do you all branch out far?
Really? Not really. We've got opponents in Boston, Baltimore, and then in Rhode Island.
Oh, wow.
And we're ending for the 2014 season to 8 teams, and we're not quite prepared to announce who the 4 teams are yet, but we'll have a 12-game season, 6 home and 6 away. And then at the end of the season, we'll have playoffs, which we were granted the rights to host, and so the playoffs will be here at Jim Hall on March 23rd and 24th.
Oh, awesome. That is I'm looking at your all's Facebook page right now, facebook.com/stickhorses, and obviously the game does get kicked off at 7 p.m. tonight. Gates open at 6. Cheap tickets, right? People just come up right to the ticket booth, grab their ticket, and get right in.
Absolutely, and we've got a lot of specials going on every game, but tonight ticket prices are $12, $18, and $24. $24 will put you right on the glass where the action might come up and hit the glass right in front of you. But every seat's a good seat because we're only using the lower bowl of the hall, so you're going to be close to the action as you are.
Now, that's pretty sweet. Now, Mark was telling me on one before you came on just now, he's a proponent of getting out there and watching it. He likes it. It's a physical event, when you get out there. The guys are banging, like you said, right up on the glass. Something a football fan, kind of like myself, I need to get out there and watch one of these events.
Well, I can tell you, these guys are athletes. We've got Anthony Kelly, for example, who goes by the nickname of A-Train, played at the Ohio State University and lives in Columbus, but he played for the Colorado team that played in the championship of the MLL. He's about 6'4", about 250, and benches 465.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
A little sport. These are big boys, and they're out there banging it up. And you'll see a lot of action, a lot of hitting, and it's a very physical, aggressive sport in high school.
Now, again, we have Tony Chase on, Kentucky Stick Horse owner. Dave was letting me know that, obviously, you mentioned earlier you went to UK. You're played a key role in developing the NALL, the Lacrosse League. Now, is this professional? Is this kind of a maybe a AAA type of thing? What is it?
No, it's definitely professional. We've got guys that have played and continue to play in the MLL and NLL. They're all paid, and a few of them, our franchise players, are paid pretty well. But no, this is definitely professional. I was one of the founding members, and the league continues to grow. We're expecting to have 18 in 2014, and then no less than 12 in 2015. And then our goal is to get it to around 24. So then we want to develop lacrosse for the U.S. player. What makes us a little bit different than the NLL is that we've got a rule that 80% of our players have to be U.S. or American players.
Oh, wow.
And have that rule. As a result, several of their teams have, 80 to 85% of their players are Canadian. Box lacrosse has been played up there forever. They're great players, but the vast majority of our players will always come from the United States.
Well, I guess that is it. Why is that though? Why is that kind of rule initiated, put into place?
Well, we weren't. The purpose of the league, not only just to be a business, was to develop box lacrosse in the United States, and it's been played for quite a while in Canada, and a lot of our guys aren't getting the opportunity to play professionally box lacrosse this year because Canadian players, quite frankly, are that much better. And so what we want to do is give these young men and women, quite frankly, the Baltimore Bombers have our goalie from last year, who was a female goalie. She was one of the captains of the U.S. indoor lacrosse team when they played overseas. But the purpose is to develop the United States player to be able to compete at the same level as the Canadian players.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that does make sense there. Mark kind of whispered
Yeah,
it
it's
over.
kind of a similar rule that the CFL has. And with they can only have so many American football players on their roster.
Well, I did not know that. Well, Tony, as always, I appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your morning there, breaking down the game. Tonight, the Kentucky Stick Horses get their season kicked off at Freedom Hall. Gates open at 6 p.m. Game starts at 7. Take your family out there, your kids. I promise you will enjoy it. Tony, we'll have to get you back on throughout the season and see how your all's progression is going.
I'd love to do that. More than happy to do so. As our team byline says, giddy up.
There you go. So
Giddy up.
Giddy up.
I like that.
Tony, have a great day and good luck tonight.
Thank you very much. We'll see you guys there tonight.
For sure. Giddy up.
Giddy up.
I like it.
That is nice.
It's better than get on the train.
No, it's not.
Giddy
No,
up.
get on the train is awesome. It's the best thing ever.
I'm going to derail that train one day. That's what's going to happen.
Bring your derailer. This train's going too fast.
Bring your derailer.
It's too fast and too heavy to be derailed. You can't knock it off the tracks that way. Haven't you ever seen Unstoppable?
I have.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you should know a lot about that.
Whatever, Mark. 384-1450, the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzzline. Give us a shout. Get in on today's topics. Mark's talking about all of his love of New Orleans and the Sugar Bowl today. I'm enjoying it. I'm a Kentucky fan, but hearing you had a great time makes me happy.
It does. And, I don't know, a lot of Louisville fans don't feel this way, and I know a lot of Kentucky fans don't either. But when my friends, who I have a lot of Kentucky fans that are friends, when my friends are happy and I don't have to be sad because of my Louisville Cardinals losing or something, I'm happy for them. You know what I mean? Like, that's just who I am. I don't take a whole lot of pleasure in rubbing Kentucky losses in their face.
I beg to differ. You kind of lit up your Twitter yesterday and the day before. Just got to get it off your back.
I did do a little easy button on the 26th.
Got it off of there.
But that was just having a little fun. I mean, like, if you get knocked out of the NCAA tournament, that's like the worst day ever.
In the first round of your
Or
in-state foe.
Or or to West Virginia Elite Eight or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
I'm not going to be like, you also, you know what I mean? Like, that's just not who I am. But if you have lost to Florida 26 times in a row, and we get to play them one time, yeah, you probably should take a little. But who should really take a little is Kirk Herbstreit, David Pollock, the guys on Fox, every single writer across
basically
the nation.
98% of the media.
98% of the media.
The
Desmond
other
Howard,
2% is Louisville.
Desmond Howard in Louisville's corner. He was saying why things would be difficult for Louisville, but he was also saying, I don't think that this is a matchup that is all that bad for Louisville. And that's what I was kind of saying starting in September when I was looking at teams that, I would want to play and teams that I really wouldn't want to play. I thought that the matchup for Florida was very advantageous for Louisville the entire time.
I talked to Kendrick Haskins, Wave 3 sports anchor, yesterday on this side of Press Box, and got his little take. I was lucky enough to do a show with Kendrick for a few weeks. The Montrell Jones show went on. He was a co-host a few days of the week, and I got to banter back and forth with him, and he was kind of on the same path as you earlier in the year. This team, he mentioned Florida, kind of as you did, overrated. He wanted to play a Florida. That's what he wanted. He basically said Louisville's going to go to a bowl game and they're going to win, and it's going to be a big time bowl game. Yep. And he was right. And a lot of Card fans are right. A lot of them can continue to say that. Now I know you, as a fan of Kentucky, I'm going to say the same stuff every year, even if I know it's not going to happen. This is the first year Louisville fans might have credibility of knowing it was going to happen.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is the matchup. Like, if Louisville had played A&M last night in the Cotton Bowl, I think that would have been a much more entertaining game.
If you didn't get a pick six, it would have been a different game.
It could have been.
My honest opinion.
It could have been, but Louisville still forced, 4 turnovers. I don't even know the stats.
I know.
I mean, they still got in there and did what they had to do. And if it wasn't the pick six, it was probably going to be something else. Because, I mean, you can watch that game and go back and rewatch it. Louisville was the better team.
I agree.
mean, they really were.
From start to finish.
From start to finish. And, yeah, if Teddy on the opening play throws a pick six, maybe the game does go a little bit differently. But the game went the way it went, and we won. And we won easy. We left 15 points out there. It could have been a 25-point win. And we gave up a kickoff return for a touchdown late when apathy was kind of settling in. We're already celebrating the fourth quarter, and then in our prevent defense gave up another touchdown, which they went for 2, didn't get it, so it was 13. Really 28.
That's when I officially turned it off and went to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, you could really go 28 points is what Louisville was better than Florida.
Did Charlie get a Gatorade bath? I didn't know.
He did, and it was a classic one.
Good. He
And
deserves it.
There's some good photos and footage of that.
All coaches deserve Gatorade baths, including you, Nick Saban. That's basically who I'm talking
Yeah, and like in the national championship game, I really like Alabama in this game.
But now you're kind of thinking about the underdog.
I'm not.
You're
Actually,
not?
because it's a terrible matchup for Notre Dame. It has nothing to do with Alabama being an SEC school. Auburn's not going to help Alabama. LSU's not going to help Alabama. Georgia's not going to help Alabama. Alabama's going to help Alabama, and they have enough to beat Notre Dame.
They both have great
easy.
defenses, and I think it's going to come down to Alabama's offense is definitely better than Notre Dame's, and that's going to be the difference in this game. You know, when you have a running back named Eddie Lacy who will grab the ball and look at you and point at you, I'm going to run you over.
He's like, I'm going to this hole.
I'm going to run you over.
And everybody else is, y'all can come too.
Come on.
But that's where I'm going, and I'm still
And I'm
going
gonna
for
win.
4 or 5 yards.
Exactly. That's what you need to be a winner. You know, that's going to be crazy. You know, last night the Cotton Bowl, like we mentioned a little bit. You know, not going to get too much into it. Texas A&M and Johnny Manziel pretty handily beat up.
It was an entertaining game.
It wasn't.
I think Louisville would have given A&M a much better game.
516 total yards, new Cotton Bowl record set by Johnny Manziel. That's ridiculous.
Well, that's what happens when you touch the ball for every single play. Like you're either running it or throwing it. I mean,
you know, 28 first downs to 27 first downs. That right there, you look at me. Oh, this is going to be a really good game.
not a good game
Not
at all.
a good game at all. 41-13. My guy I work with, only Texas A&M fan I know in the area, which I'm glad I do know. Yeah, that they're in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
We get a little banter. Of course, as soon as they won, I'm going to get him hell all week, just trying to get under his skin. And, what do you think about that now? Blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Well, welcome to the SEC. You know?
Well, the thing is that, Kevin Sumlin did that all for like 3 years at Houston.
Mhm.
I mean, people just didn't notice because he was at Houston. Now he's at A&M, and A&M just moved to the SEC. That people are, they're starting to see what Kevin Sumlin's style is. And when you play against a team that's coached by Kevin Sumlin, you cannot not gain yards, and you cannot punt on 4th down, no matter where you are. You have to use all 4 downs because they are, and they're going to score almost every time they touch the ball. So what you have to do is you have to create turnovers, and you have to take advantage of every single opportunity to score, because that's how you beat a team like A&M.
That show, for example, Louisville forcing 3-4 turnovers against Florida. And,
exactly. And Louisville punted 1 time in the Sugar Bowl.
I mean, they allowed him to punt just so he could be in the game.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Matt and Adam our Epos Walks have great video footage going on right now. KentuckySports.co/TV, our TV show. I mean, it's simple as that. TV. Get on there,
It's
check
a
it out.
radio TV show.
It's a radio TV show.
that I just rolled out of bed for.
That's what we do.
Which is a terrible
Speaking
idea.
of rolling out of bed, that was exactly what Matt did. He still got his pajamas on here at 10 o'clock in the morning, and he came out, greasy hair and all. Yeah. Looking rough today.
But it's more of like a Wayne's World sports show, because, I think I would be Wayne.
I'm Garth.
I'm just messing with you. I don't care. But
I'm messing with you. I don't care. What if I want to be Wayne?
Dude, you could be Wade. That's
Thanks,
fine.
dude.
Garth's girlfriend was way hotter. So
Very true. I'll take Garth. And I'll also go ahead and take this break here because we're at the top of the hour. Be sure to stick with us as we got one more hour to go as always. In this segment, we're going to talk to Matt Dennison, or in this hour, should I say, we're going to talk to Matt Dennison of the High School Sports Report, Courier Journal. So stick with us, the Weekend Sports Buzz. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Buzz. Let us know what you think. Give us a call on the Oxmoor Fort Lincoln Buzz Line at 384-1450.
I made it down the coast in 17 hours, picking me a bouquet of dogwood flowers, and I'm hoping for Raleigh I can see my baby tonight.
We're back here at the Weekend Sports Buzz, Hour 2. Good little intro. Again, it's been a good show so far.
Great show. I almost fell out of my chair.
You did. If anybody's watching it, KentuckySports.co/TV, you would have saw that. That was actually quite funny.
The chair kind of like popped, and I was like, "Oh God, what was that?"
What was that?
I'm okay.
A couple things I want to mention. We got last night on 1450. We had Charlie Jenkins getting you through a basketball game. Well, guess what, guys? We have another one coming up here tonight at 7:05. We will have a pregame with Charlie Jenkins. I'm trying to find my email here. I believe it's Christian Academy Louisville. Yes, it is. It's Christian Academy Louisville versus Christian Academy of Indiana.
Wow.
Little
battle
of the Christian Academies.
It's a holy war.
It's a holy war. It'll be right here on 1450. Pregame 7:05. Tip off 7:30. Charlie Jenkins again will get you through that game. It should be a fun one to listen into. So check us out on 1450 Sports Buzz tonight to listen in on that game. Let's go to the Oxmoor Fort Lincoln Buzz on. We have a caller on the line right now waiting. The Truth, what's going on, man?
Well, they said they still partied in Louisville because they've been eating some gator meat. That's what I've been hearing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I ate gator every meal down there. I at least ordered the appetizer that had a little gator tender just to make sure that I was consuming our opponent throughout, and it ended up working out.
Was it a shock to you?
No, I predicted this.
Mark predicted Truth. Don't let him fool you, Truth. Mark predicted 13 victories for Louisville. All right?
Yeah, I did, and we won 11. I like my percentage.
Well, let's get down to business.
What's that?
Let's get down to business. Notre Dame's going to win a national championship against Alabama.
I don't believe they will.
I'm going to tell you the key is.
All right.
They will not be able to run against Notre Dame.
Eddie Lacy's a monster. That offensive line of Alabama is huge.
Well, let's look at Florida. And powerful the NCC is. I mean, how it's not like it was the last 3 years when they really was. I believe in Notre Dame they had a chance to see what they can do. We're going to see a different Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame offense is going to show out against Alabama.
Truth, you might be right. You seriously could be right. You kind of are correct with this isn't the strong SEC of the past 3 seasons. It is still very tough. Alabama is still pretty good, but, if they came out and played well against them, Truth, I wouldn't be surprised.
It's not been like the 2 national championships, that team, when he had a great defense, they wasn't weak nowhere on their defense. But if you spread Alabama out, they in trouble. Texas A&M proved that. Well, I'm going to leave y'all with this. Remember college basketball season, Cody Zeller. Remember that name, Player of the Year.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to forget about Cody Zeller. He's an incredible player, and Indiana's one of the best, definitely one of the top 5 teams in the country.
Oh, yeah.
If not the best
Thanks
team in
for
the
the
country. And I am excited to start talking about some basketball.
It is a transition here.
I have some major catching up to do, Tyler.
Can we stick football for for like 3 minutes?
Yeah.
And then go basketball?
Let's stay on football the whole day.
I just want to mention something
There's
that's
no
huge.
basketball today.
It's huge. U.S.
It is
Army
huge.
Bowl
Yes.
today, 1 p.m., Wave 3. We got a huge announcement. James Quick at Trinity is going to make his college choice between basically Louisville or Ohio State, it seems.
Yep.
Maybe Oregon. You never know.
No, yeah. I don't think
Basically,
it's
Louisville or Ohio State.
It's Ohio State or Louisville. We can talk about Oregon or anybody else, but we know it's Ohio State or Louisville, and it's going to be interesting to see where his mind frame is. I heard a couple of weeks ago it was one way, and then today I'm hearing it might be
another way.
even, or even maybe the other way. So, man, yeah, I know.
Do you think he's going to go to UK?
No.
I mean, it's U of L. Sorry.
I'd like to hope that he would. I think that it would make sense for him to, given our style of play as opposed to Ohio State style of play under Urban Meyer. The spread, we saw what Florida did with Tim Tebow. That's basically the offense that Urban Meyer is hoping to implement, which isn't going to preclude him from going to the NFL or anything like that. But I just think that in order to develop your skills long term, Louisville implements a deep passing game.
Louisville's deep at the receiver position,
and you have Teddy Bridgewater coming in. But they are deep at the receiver position now. But if you move on past next year, they actually need receivers after
Yeah,
next
but
year.
Teddy won't be there past next year.
Well, they'll have Will Gardner, who's awesome. And
Will is no Teddy Bridgewater.
Kyle Bolin.
Kyle Bolin is no Teddy Bridgewater.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that. Okay? There's no way I can argue that Teddy Bridgewater is anywhere, that those guys are anywhere close to Teddy Bridgewater. Because they're not.
They're not.
Because there's not anybody.
He's special.
He's so special. And there's not anybody that Louisville's ever had, in my opinion, that is this special. And we've had Chris Redmond, Dave Ragone, Stephon LaForce, Brian Brom, Brian Nagel, Jeff Brom. Okay? Louisville hasn't had a quarterback as special as Teddy Bridgewater since Johnny Unitas was here. He is
That's big praise.
the best, period. And I've seen them all. Okay? Stephon LaForce was my favorite prior to now. Okay? I really liked the way he played. I liked the way he overcame his physical limitations. He was smart. Teddy Bridgewater doesn't have any of that. He's as smart as Stephon LaForce, more athletic, and can throw. And it's just incredible to watch him play. It's been a treat and an honor to cover him from a football writer perspective. It's been just fun to watch him as a fan. And
I enjoyed watching him as a Kentucky fan. I got to with you do a lot of pregame shows outside, and I attended a lot of the games.
And let's be real, there's some guys on the Louisville football team that I've interviewed that I don't really care for. Okay, we don't need to say who they are, but Teddy Bridgewater is definitely a guy that I enjoy. And if I look at Charlie Strong, okay, and I look at Teddy Bridgewater, if they both sucked at football, they would still be awesome people. And I think that's what's more fun about just doing this entire thing, this entire exercise, is that they're great guys performing at a high level, easy to root for, and they win titles.
I know who wants to argue you right now.
Who's that?
Somebody that absolutely loves Johnny Manziel, and he'll battle you, your Teddy versus his Johnny. Carolina Steve, what's going on?
I love Johnny Manziel.
I am the biggest Johnny football fan in this town. I think he is the best quarterback in the nation today. He is probably the only Heisman Trophy winner I've seen lately after they picked the Heisman Trophy that actually came back and had a good game in a bowl game.
Yeah, he did.
Absolutely. A
516.
lot of guys mail in they get the Heisman Trophy and mail in their postseason, and Johnny Manziel is incredible to watch. He's a blast to watch football. And he definitely deserved to win the Heisman Trophy. He was the best player in college football this year. I felt like Teddy Bridgewater deserved to be sitting next to him watching Johnny Manziel win the award.
Well, I tell you who deserved it more than he did, a defensive player. And he made the best hit I have ever seen in a bowl game, a regular game, was Clowney from
South Carolina.
He actually had better numbers than the linebacker from Notre Dame.
Yeah, and Javion Clowney probably would be the number one overall pick in the NFL draft if he were eligible this year. But the NFL rule says you have to be 3 years out of high school.
Yep.
And yes, he is one of the best. And if a defensive player is ever going to win the Heisman Trophy again, he would be the guy.
I think Manti Te'o should have had a opportunity to win the Heisman, because there's not often, Carolina, that a defensive player can win the Heisman, maybe every 15 years or so. This could have been a year to give it to him. But, Johnny Manziel, well-deserved.
Well, look at Manziel's numbers. He had better numbers than Cam Newton. You know what I mean? And Cam Newton was a runaway choice for the Heisman Trophy. So, Johnny Manziel, incredible football player. It's organized chaos. And, I'm right on board with you, Carolina Steve. I think it's incredible. I think he's awesome.
Okay, one more thing before I go. Who will take Boise State's place next year on the game for Louisville?
That's a
It's not going to be
That's a great question. I know it's been floated out there that if they cannot land a made-for-TV game, that the Big East may actually add an additional game out of the teams that they're not playing to sort of satisfy all the members that are losing Boise off their schedule. But I do know that there is some stuff in the works, and the opponent, the location, and the date are not ironed out. But apparently, it's going to get done. We're going to know about
Cowboy
Valentine's
Stadium.
Day. Some people floated out Alabama. Alabama's schedule's packed. It's not going to be Alabama. It would be incredible if it were Texas A&M, because I don't know of a better regular season football game that you could sell than Manziel Bridgewater
At Cowboy Stadium.
anywhere. Put it on the moon. It would be incredible.
Carolina's always, we appreciate
I
the
was just hoping that the Big East may bring in one of their new members, and I might have had a chance to go to Cardinal Stadium to see my favorite football team play, but I don't know if they will or not. That'd be the East Carolina Pirates, who's supposed to be coming in not next year, but the year after. I'd like to see them. I know we probably wouldn't stand a chance against Louisville, but I'd be up there in my purple and gold, standing proud for the East Carolina Pirates. So y'all have a good day. Congratulations to the Sugar Bowl victory. Now let's go to the ACC, and I can't wait to see them orange and purple fans from down in South Carolina at Clemson come to town. Y'all have a nice day.
All right, we will have a nice
too,
day.
Carolina.
And that's great that he said that he would come, even though if he didn't feel like they had a chance.
you got to show up.
But you got to show up. If you're a fan, showing up is your job. You know what I mean?
That's why we show up.
And that's why
That's
you
why
show
you
up.
took $30,000 to
That's why
Lou Orleans. We're going right back to Oxmoor Fort Lincoln Buzzline because we got a diehard Card fan. The mayor's on the line. What's going on, man?
Slowly getting my voice back from the Sugar Bowl. What a great trip. I tell you, I love Carolina Steve. He is the iguana of college sports. He must have a closet full. He's talking about orange and blue and East Carolina, North Carolina. He's a gem, man.
He's great. He's great. If there's one guy you want to sit down with and talk to about some old school sports, some sports in general, it's Carolina Steve because he ranges. I mean, the guy was like a professional athlete in like 12 sports.
Yeah, he's like a living Wikipedia.
He is. Weekend at Bernie's type thing.
Yeah.
There's a guy, I have met Steve before, a great guy, and an old counterpart of my dad's played in college, was an East Carolina coach at one time, so we should have a talk about that. But anyway, this whole 45 days, I mean, if you go back as a Cards fan here, you're looking at a more impactful 45 days in the history of our fandom, if you will, which goes back to my family getting involved in season tickets in 1966.
Wow.
And we've been in ever since, and I've been in about 12 years myself. But if you look at anything that's happened, we can talk. I heard Hanson Jimmy, he wants to talk about 80, 86, and Fiesta Bowl and all that stuff. I think you have to look at top two. It's 80 and in this game. Especially now, if you look at the way the college landscape has changed, and I mean no disrespect because I was there in 80 as a kid. But if you look at the way the landscape's changed, this Sugar Bowl victory is probably the number one occurrence in the history of the school, which is hard to say when you consider we're a basketball school. And I don't know, you probably have some listeners that watched Patino this morning, but just the fact that how everyone's glowing about it. I mean, he talked about it on his basketball show for about 5, 6, 7 minutes today. And that's the impact this has had. Now on the Quick, the thing about Quick, it's an easy thing to look at. I don't know if he's going to come here, quite frankly. I kind of have a bad feeling, but the one thing is, they threw for 2,100 yards last year, Ohio State. Louisville threw for 3,800. Now, you want to come in, get on a team that may have a shot at the national championship. You have 1 year with Teddy. I think it's an easy decision to make. We'll see what he makes, though.
We will see what he decides to do, and I think James Quick is going to be fine no matter where he goes. I mean, he's a top-level talent that is somebody that is going to shine bright no matter where he goes. There's a very few guys like him ever. On to your statement about the most impactful 45 days in Louisville Cardinal history, I would have to say that I totally agree with you, and that the Sugar Bowl win kind of capped off an entire reversal of fortunes in what actually could have happened to the Louisville Cardinals. I mean, you think about if UConn had gotten into the ACC and Louisville was stuck into the Big East right now, how depressing that might feel. How it would have been if Charlie Strong had chosen Tennessee and elected to bolt and coach in the SEC. If you hadn't beaten if Louisville had not beaten Rutgers, if you had gone to the Champs Sports Bowl, maybe you lose to Virginia Tech without Charlie Strong. You know what I mean? You could have lost to the University of Kentucky again, a time that you know. So you look at these 45 days, and everything has gone right. So if James Quick comes today, that's just icing on the cake, because guess what? Recruiting's going like gangbusters. Charlie Strong's got two four-star recruits in as many days since the Sugar Bowl has happened. The train is truly rolling, and if James Quick doesn't want to get on board, he better get out the way.
Mayor, let me ask.
About this.
Go ahead.
Minus a Petrino choke against Rutgers, because his worst score he ever had was 24-7. We were up 24-7 3 times and lost. West Virginia, that overtime whatever fiasco. Rutgers, we were up 24-7. Miami, when Kerry Rhodes dropped that ball at 25-7, that was his dreaded score. But minus that choke when Petrino just started running the ball when he got a little bit of a lead, this program could be looking at playing for 2 national championships. National championships in football in 7 years. I mean, that's hard to believe when you think, where we've been and where we came from. And then you look at the speed bump that Cragthorpe threw us and how quickly they got back. Now, we are beneficiaries of a bad league, obviously, which is good. But when you build a nice little program, that's the way it is. That's the system, and I guess we worked it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if you want to run the whole gamut of the timeline, really, Louisville was going to disband football before Howard Schnellenberger showed up. So the Fiesta Bowl win was exciting because it was like, here, this is possible here. So Howard Schnellenberger showed that it was possible. Wednesday night in the Sugar Bowl showed that you're actually close to doing it with the recruiting that's happened. Steve, the Steve Cragthorpe speed bump that you threw out there was 3 years. If that happened another year, then maybe the ACC doesn't pick Louisville, because one of the reasons they picked Louisville was their potential as a football program. And if this was 2009 when Steve Cragthorpe if this all happened in 2009, I don't think Louisville's selected and going in the ACC at all. They were drawing crowds of like 29,000 people. Were extremely disgusted with the program. They were extremely disgusted with the person running the program. Tom Jurich did an incredible job of selecting the right man at the right time, and the timing has worked out, almost serendipity-like.
Mayor, let me ask you before we hit our break here. Obviously, you were down in New Orleans. What was, outside of the game, what was your favorite moment, just being down there around all of, the Card faithful?
Well, that was my 3rd trip. This is probably my well, it has to do with the game. I was looking at a prospect of being 0-3 in the Superdome. That was '82. We were down there. The Final Four this year, and in the football game. My favorite moment, though, was literally being on Bourbon Street. I hate to admit this. 10:30 in the morning. We were drinking beer before the game, and a friend from Louisville who's he's a season ticket holder. He's an emergency room doctor down in New Orleans, and we were sitting there on Bourbon Street, and all day long, like for 7 straight hours, all you heard was Card cheers going up and down the street. Like, Jesus, this fan base just brought it. And secondarily, in related to the game, my buddy there, who's a tough guy, emergency room doctor, like I said, played rugby in college, hard head, he's sitting there at the end of the game and almost in tears. His eyes are all watered up. He goes, my team just won the Sugar Bowl. And, the thing about that is how impactful it is to someone who goes every year to the Sugar Bowl just because it's an event. And then he's sitting there watching his team win the Sugar Bowl, man. I tell you what, it was unreal, man. That was probably one of the greatest experiences I had as a fan. We've had good ones, but it was awesome, man. No Cards. Let's get Quick today.
There you go, Mayor. We appreciate the call as always, my man. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, and I would would go right along with that. Everything that he said, one of the greatest experiences that I've ever had personally as a fan, as a person that can follow this team, and we thought it would be special. Just the environment of being at the Sugar Bowl, whether it was a win or a loss, I felt strongly about a win, but we felt like it was going to be special, and it really was. It was one of those things that if we go honestly, if Louisville goes back there next year and wins again, it may never ever be as special as it was this time. Because it's just something that you just can't recreate. You know, a whole lot of people told Louisville that they couldn't do this or they couldn't be that, but now they're the only program in the history of football to win the Fiesta Orange and Sugar in their first appearance in those 3 bowl games. Louisville shouldn't have wins in those bowl games, let alone appearances, if you listen to everybody else.
Yeah,
If you listen to everybody else.
If you listen to everybody else, yeah, I agree.
But Louisville Cardinals and what the school is about and what the program is about and what our people are about is not listening to what other people say. We're going to do what we want to do.
There you go. Do what you got to do, Mark. Put the Great Wall up around the city and be you.
That's right. Be us.
Be you.
And we'll show everybody.
Let's go to our break here so we can come back and talk
that.
to our guy, Matt Dennison of the High School Sports Report here on 1450 Sports Buzz. We'll be right back here on the Weekend Sports Buzz.
Running from the cold up in New England, I was born to be a fiddler in an old-time string band. My baby plays the guitar, I pick a banjo now.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Buzz. Let us know what you think. Give us a call on the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzz Line at 384-1450.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Buzz, where we're ready. Oh, what is this?
Every time I ever heard this song, I always wondered, like, while he's singing, was somebody like, never mind.
Never mind.
Just
Just hold that off air.
yeah.
We got to go to the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzz Line because I know he's very excited to come on now that he just listened to that rejoin. Our guy from the High School Sports Report every Thursday night right here on 1450 Sports Buzz, 7 to 8 p.m., Matt Dennison. Matt, what's going on?
Hey guys, how y'all doing? Thanks for having me this morning.
Appreciate you coming on, as always. Matt does great work, like I just mentioned, every Thursday over at Highlander Point, the Tumbleweed Tex-Mex Grill, High School Sports Report, 7 to 8 p.m. Matt, how was the coaches show you just had Thursday evening?
Well, we had New Albany coach Jim Shannon and Jeffersonville coach Chad Gilbert on. It was kind of unique, big rivals. They played on Friday night before a packed house at Johnson Arena there at Jeffersonville High School. We had both of them out, and they actually had a segment where they got to interview each other. So it was kind of cool, and had a good crowd and good following there for that one. It's always a fun time when you got the week of the New Albany Jeff game. And of course, another big game last night. Clarksville and Providence met for the second time in a couple weeks, and really, despite the two rivalry games and a lot of build-up, Jeffersonville really pounded New Albany. They had their way with the Bulldogs, and Providence got past Clarksville. The last time they played, Providence won on a last-second type situation, and this time Providence had it a little easier. They won by, I think, 9 points or so. So a lot of great crowds last night, a lot of great rivalries, but it didn't go down to the wire in either game like maybe some expected.
Yeah, I was actually talking yesterday a little bit about the games that were going on when we previewed them to let everybody know it was on. I did not know Providence was only a 2A school. They're always seem to be a dominant power in the basketball ranks, beating some top teams. They're only a 2A.
Providence has really got a superb athletic program, especially over the last year. In the fall sports season, they had a girls volleyball team that made it to the state finals in Class 2A. Let's see here. They had a girls soccer team that won a state championship a year ago and made it back to the state championship game but lost in the soccer tournament. And then the boys made it to semi-state. Providence really traditionally, probably in the metro area, is best known for having a solid football program. Really, they've kind of fallen off here in recent years, but Lou LaFay is the head coach at Providence. Really has a unique style. It's really a tough style. And Providence has been awful strong in recent years. So they had a good showing last night, and it's always big to get 2 wins against your arch rival. Of course, they could meet again later in the season for a third time for a sectional there in that Class 2A sectional in southern Indiana. That could always be an interesting matchup. But you're right, Tyler. Providence has been an athletic program that really has been on the rise.
Yeah, they always are. Actually, when I was in high school in Oldham County, we played Providence in soccer. And I do remember, Matt, when you had on you had the Providence girls soccer team in and their coach right before their state championship game. It was good. Matt does great work every Thursday night on the High School Sports Report. You have to listen in because I promise you he's covering and getting it going for everybody around the area. Matt, something I did want to kind of ask you, not necessarily involved with the Indiana high school sports, but right here in Louisville, PRP's basketball coach, Dale Mabry, won his 800th basketball game last night. That's an outrageous number in the high school ranks.
I think I read that only 50 or so coaches in the nation, at a school that are part of a state association which belongs to the National Federation of High Schools, have accomplished that feat. Dale Mabry is just simply a legend. He does a great job year in and year out. He's got a great system there at PRP. But really the more amazing thing that I've picked up on in my years being around is that his assistant coaches, 2 of them, one of them is Larry Kinley, and I can't remember the other's name. I want to think it's maybe Mike something, but they have been with Mabry, I think, every year that he's been a head coach there at PRP. He's had some freshman coaches come and go and some volunteer help, I'm sure, but his core coaching staff, I mean, they really take it serious. They scout. Everything is very organized at PRP with that program. And my hat's off to Dale Mabry. He is a legend in Louisville high school basketball, and really this area, the state of Kentucky.
Yeah, he really is. He's been coaching at PRP here in the Louisville area for 34 years. He was hired, Matt, when he was only 25. A lot of people speculated he was just too young for the job, just, a few years out of high school, basically. And now look at where he's doing now. He's coached a lot of talented players that have came through PRP. A couple of them went to Louisville, other small colleges, bigger colleges. So, yeah, big hats off to, Dale Mabry of his 800th win. Now, Matt, what's coming up this week on High School Sports Report?
Well, we've got a good week. We've got Floyd Central boys coach Randy Jean-Fagna, and he's having a tough season. Floyd Central has really been down on the board.
Do we lose Matt?
Jeff and Floyd Central, Pat Graham, and there's some great games I can remember growing up there in Highlander Point, not far from where we do the show on Thursday nights. But he'll come out and talk to us about their tough season. We look forward to hearing from him. Randy's a good coach. He's just in a tough situation, so we look forward to talking with him. And we'll also talk to New Washington coach Jonathan May, the boys coach there at New Washington High School. And, of course, we'll have our regular stuff. We'll highlight the area games. We'll get you prepared for the weekend. We'll have our Athlete of the Week presented by Keen Screen, and just the regular things that we hope people will tune in or come out and join us there at Tumbleweed.
Yeah, it really is. And, of course, like I mentioned earlier, tonight at 7:30 right here on 1450 Sports Buzz, Christian Academy of Indiana versus Christian Academy of Louisville. Right here on 1450 Sports Buzz, Charlie Jenkins, he is out there with Matt Dennison at the High School Sports Report. They do great work. Again, every Thursday night, 7 p.m. at Highlander Point's Tumbleweed Tex-Mex Grill over there in Floyd's Knobs. If you're around this area on Thursdays, get up there, go say hey, introduce yourself, because I promise Matt does great work. Matt, thanks for coming on for a few minutes this Saturday morning. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, man.
Hey, have a good weekend, guys. Thank you.
Anytime. Matt does great work. He works with the Courier Journal as well, doing a lot of high school sports. He runs Hoosier Hills Hoops. You can actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was one of the first. I guess I don't know what you want to call it. Maybe our interns that Matt and our producers, Adam, know the right terminology, being the tech guys. But what kind of website would that be, Matt? He told me it's not a blog, a forum. It was one. Yeah, I guess that would be correct. It was one of the first forums. He did this in the '90s. And now it's huge. He runs high school sports basically over there in the Hoosier Hill area. So, Matt Dennison.
Incredible.
It's cool.
Tyler, when we start talking basketball, man,
I'm hyped.
For the next couple weeks.
I can't wait.
I'm going to need you.
You need me?
I'm going to need you because I am behind.
You're fine.
I am way
no
behind.
basketball this weekend. We got to wait till Louisville's game on Wednesday, Kentucky Thursday. SEC play opening against Vanderbilt. Louisville's playing Seton Hall Wednesday.
I did see Louisville was in the not top 10.
2 times.
Twice?
I think it was an overall thing. Both of the missed dunks.
Yes, the missed dunks. Apparently, for those of you who are enthralled with the Sugar Bowl coverage and missed it, apparently Stephen Van Treese missed the dunk, and Montrezl Harrell was giving him a little bit of noise about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on in the day, Montrezl Harrell went for a windmill dunk from around his knees and got hung on the rim, and SportsCenter made SportsCenter's not top 10. They called it karma. Which I thought was kind of fun.
Yeah, it is karma. It really is karma. Kind of like the passionate Louisville fan that called my man Kelly Patrick on our tomorrow show, got his phone back to him. He didn't want bad karma towards his cards.
Wow. They call that gris in New Orleans. Voodoo.
How about that?
Hey,
Mark's coming back with new language.
It may not be how you pronounce it because they don't pronounce anything the right way, or at least I don't pronounce anything the way they do. Yeah, but
did you see a gator? Did you see any real gators?
Didn't see any real gators.
Was it cold? I know
the
weather
was
follows
hot,
you. The weather follows you.
It rained. Okay, it did rain during the actual Sugar Bowl, but we were in a dome.
It doesn't matter.
But when we got there, it was kind of cold. The second day was nice. The third day was incredible, and then it started to rain.
It had to rain because you were
closer.
there. You followed this team, and it rained everywhere.
I think one of the cooler moments. There was a lot of cool moments.
You should do a blog on cardsandcast.com. All the cool moments outside of the game, maybe.
That's true.
It'd be a cool blog.
Well, we are making a video, actually.
Yeah.
We're making a video to kind of memorialize everything, which we filmed everything. But one of the cooler moments was when the team left for the hotel. okay, or I'm sorry, from the hotel to go to the Superdome.
Mhm.
All week long, whenever they would go to practice, the fans would line up and kind of give them like high fives through the lobby.
Mhm.
But it wasn't like anything crazy. It was more like just an informal, hey, what's going on? Because everybody's coming down at the same time. For the game, the lobby,
I saw pictures.
starting at 2 o'clock, the lobby was packed. You couldn't even get into the hotel.
I
But
actually
then
had
they-
Nick on that day.
Oh, did you?
I had Nick on that he told me he had to go 40 floors up to get good reception, and he could still hear all your Card fans from that top floor for the team.
I believe it. So you couldn't move in the lobby. If you were staying in the hotel, you weren't getting to your room. You were staying in Bourbon Street, or you were staying in your room if you were trying to get out. Okay. Then, as it got closer, the sidewalk filled up. Then, as it got even closer, the street filled up. So Card fans were actually blocking traffic in downtown New Orleans. The fire department and the police actually had to show up and block off the street. And then it was just mayhem when they came out. And the loud Cards chants, the team loved it. You could see it on their faces.
There were tweets after the game left and
Yeah.
right of, like a guy like Lorenzo Malden, I love our fans.
Yeah.
It's good.
The fans were out of control during the game and leading up to the game, but they were always great, and it was something to be proud of.
It really is. I'm glad you had a great time. We are going to take a break. We're going to come back for our final segment and talk basketball for
Let's
a few
do that.
minutes. It's time. The transition is here. So 384-1450 if you want to get in and join us. We'll be right back here on the Weekend Sports Buzz.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Buzz. Let us know what you think. Give us a call on the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzz Line at 384-1450.
You got what I need, but you say he's just a friend, and you say he's just a friend. Oh, baby, you got what I need.
We're back here to the final segment, the Weekend Sports Buzz. Excuse me. Couldn't get it out there.
Gonna be all right.
Great song. Really getting me choked up.
He's choked up a little bit too.
She's choked up a little bit, too. Good rejoin. Great
I like
rejoin.
it.
Really just getting a little gangster on us in a way.
I like
Louisville,
it.
you're not really my friend, but we are going to talk about some basketball now because it's that time. That transition period is, I think, here. Once the weekend's over, the week of the Sugar Bowl, it'll be all basketball from here.
Yeah, got NFL playoffs now, so it's kind of time.
Locally, the Bengals and Colts are both in it. It's
Should be
all
great.
time related.
Yeah, it is all time. And Louisville and Kentucky don't play until this coming week.
Yeah, Wednesday for Louisville, like I mentioned, Seton Hall, Thursday,
I
Kentucky.
could use the break.
You need a few days, Mark.
I think I do.
You think you need? Everybody needs a few days, I think. If you're in the media realm of things, especially following Louisville Sugar Bowl, you need a few days.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, I could tell stories for days, so I don't want to.
We'll talk stories down the road.
Yeah,
We've got a
let's do
lot
it.
of summer to go
Yeah, we don't
when it
need to-
gets here.
We don't need to just go. We don't need to.
The
throw 'em
greatest.
all
Well,
out
how
there.
about we do a show, the greatest of Mark Blankenbaker's stories?
No.
Why?
No.
It'd be fun.
Well, just record them all now, and then we can just play it one day, like when we can't show up.
There you go. That's a great idea. We will do that. Again, 384-1450, the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzz Line. Anybody want to get in? Then finally, in 10 minutes or so, we have. Do so. Basketball. Let's start with your cards here, Mark. Start your cards. I
with
got the schedule pulled up. Obviously, they're 1-0 in the conference. Beat up Seton Hall 80-62 last week.
They beat Providence.
Providence. Yeah, Seton Hall coming up. Then South Florida, Connecticut, Syracuse. Down the list we go on. What do you think is in store for Louisville and Big East play? Do they have a chance to run this slate, or maybe one loss at most? Two losses?
I don't think that they will. I mean, if you look at Louisville basketball and throughout the time Rick Pitino's been at Louisville, which I think is over a decade or maybe even in the 11th year. We'll have to go back. I think it's year 11.
I think he's in 11.
Basically, Louisville has looked great November and December, and then always taking a little dip in January. And then February, they're strong, and they make their run in March, and whatever happens, happens.
Well, look at your January slate here. Seton Hall, South Florida, Connecticut on the 14th, Syracuse on the 19th.
Syracuse, that's the next.
It's home.
Yeah, that's
home.
the next potential loss, I think.
Don't overlook Connecticut. Kevin always got that team kind of playing okay.
Okay.
A lot better than people expected. And they do
Yeah.
have Shabazz Napier still, a guy who a lot of people thought would have already been way gone.
Right.
He's still around.
Yeah, so I won't overlook Connecticut, but I think that a game that really people will talk about.
Syracuse.
Leading up to it will be Syracuse.
Top 5 matchup, potentially.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
And I'm not going to be in town.
And you're not. Where are you going to be?
I'm going to go to Gatlinburg that weekend.
Hey, you got to have – is Mark ever not on vacation?
It's my
Welcome
life.
to the rough life.
Yeah,
Let me
welcome
tell
to
you
the
about
rough
it.
life, buddy. I
Good
got to
God.
put some miles on the car.
You got to
They-
get – yeah.
That's why they gave me the odometer, right?
Yeah, that's why they gave you an odometer, so you can tack them numbers
That's
up.
right. I
You
like
do.
to watch the numbers count up.
It is. Well, I'm looking at it here. How many is it? 18 games in the Big East for Big East teams?
Probably something like that, yeah.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, or 20. I think Louisville's going to get out of this conference run with 2 losses. 3 at absolutely most, and I think it's going to be 2.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's very unreasonable to think that they would run the table, given the strength and the depth of the Big East and the fact that, it is kind of spread out. I mean, like it used to be in the SEC at 12 teams. You had to scout 11 teams. Now it's 14, so you have to scout 13. The more teams you have to scout, the better you get at scouting, but also the harder it is to really, handle the entire league. But I think that's benefited Louisville in, NCAA tournaments and things like that. What about Missouri possibly or Florida winning the SEC?
Definite shot.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say no. Kentucky's going to walk this conference because, we saw what happened earlier in the season. This team has grown drastically with Kentucky. They do have to play. They get Texas A&M at home. They're a decent little team, Texas A&M. At at Florida, at Tennessee. I'm not worried about Tennessee. Florida at Florida worries me. I think that could be a loss right there.
Both Floridas, yeah.
You don't have to play Florida twice, Mark. Oh, excuse me, we do. Yes, I do. I'm sorry. I wasn't. That's the last game. That's home. I'm not too worried about it at home. Game I'll tell you that you need to not overlook is Arkansas. At Arkansas.
Always. Arkansas is always good.
They got a good team this year. Very young. New
Mike
coach.
Anderson's there, right?
Mike Anderson.
Yeah.
Very, obviously, Missouri, former Missouri coach, and Missouri's a top 10 team.
That guy's always given people problems. He's always building great basketball programs. It's just a matter of time at Arkansas. I don't know what his personnel is. Like I said, I'm really far behind on basketball.
You are. You've been straight football. I understand.
really have been. But, I have followed it kind of at a bird's eye view level. Like that a lot of people have, but I like Florida. I like Missouri. I think Kentucky has potential.
Kentucky plays Missouri
if they
at
hit
home.
their shots.
It's college game day at home.
Right.
I expect Kentucky to beat them because it's home and it's going to be a wild atmosphere with the game day coming in town. But I think Florida's going to get them once.
And it'll be late in the year, which is key.
It's February 23rd. Very key.
Yeah.
I think I think Kentucky's going to go 14-2 in the conference.
Feel good about
I
that?
feel pretty confident about it. It's
say
a
they
weak conference
Yeah.
once you get outside the 3-4 teams. I will admit it.
I don't know if I can say that they're going to go 14-2 right now.
If they went 13-3, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah, it could be worse than that. But
You'll get a 2 or 3 seed.
But it's going to be – I think it'll be worse earlier on than it is at the end. How about that?
That's fine with me because if you look back to 2010.
Yeah.
9 losses going into the tournament. You made it to the Final Four and you shouldn't have.
Right.
There's plenty. And Mark asked me earlier in the show where do I think, we were talking about we want to both go party together at the UK U of L Final Four because Mark didn't get to go last year and I didn't either in April.
Yeah.
We both want to go back and, Mark asked me, can Kentucky get there? It's all going to come down to the seeding. What seeding they get and who's ahead of them in that second weekend.
Well, then, and anything can happen once you're in the Sweet 16 and Elite Eights. I mean, Louisville, yeah, they should be in the Final Four. I think they're a Final Four team. But at the same time, like, anything can happen, Sweet 16, Elite Eight. It's just a matter of winning those games, and then you can get to the Final Four and maybe play for another title.
I will say I'm looking at Twitter here, and Dave Tellup, a guy who does great work, has just said that Kari Johnson, this is a huge, I believe, the number 1 center for next year.
Okay.
He will announce Thursday after his game, which he plays at 6 p.m. on ESPN2, and then he'll make his announcement on ESPNU at the halftime of the UK game.
I like that. So
it's come down to UK, Georgetown, and Syracuse.
Well, that's got to be an omen.
Syracuse, one of the two, I think it's Georgetown, they just signed the number 3 center. I'm pretty sure he's going to be a Cat because you already know what's there, Mark, what's coming in for next season. You can still get an Andrew Wiggins, who Cal and Antigua just made a visit to. Next year, I don't want to get into it because this year's team can still make a great run, and Louisville's got a hell of a team too.
Right.
We don't want to overlook it, but I'm very excited about next year. So that's a commitment to look for.
Well, it's just a
basketball.
dangerous thing to start looking always to next year.
It always is.
You know what I mean? Like, enjoy what you have now.
I am. I'm fine with our team.
Last year for Kentucky was incredible, and I know at least one Cat fan in particular that just didn't find any enjoyment in that because it was expected the entire time. And I
enjoyed it.
I give him all kinds of because I don't think most people are like that. But I think this guy in particular, like he's like, oh yeah, I expected it, and I was worried about recruiting for next year the entire time, and I'm just like, well, enjoy what you have today.
Oh yeah,
You know
I'm
what I mean?
enjoying this team. I'm enjoying watching the growth of Kentucky throughout the whole season. I love Willie Cauley-Stein. I love the chances of Cal Perry playing 2 7-footers a lot the rest of the season.
We need
That's
to get
huge.
We need Mark Stoops to get Cauley-Stein onto the football team.
Over 1,000, 1,200 yards receiving in high school.
That would be incredible.
Have our future quarterback Asante Ward throwing touchdowns.
Think about Willie Cauley-Stein in the red zone.
You couldn't stop him.
I mean,
what's the average height for a defensive back?
And the SEC is about 5'10".
About 5'10" at 5'9" at most. 5'10" at most.
I couldn't stop that.
I'm 5'10", 5'11".
I put springs in my shoes.
I can't jump. And I know most of these guys are super athletic, and they can jump up to 7 feet and 10 feet. But you throw that lob, that post.
You still got to get up there.
Touchdown.
Like to jump,
and
you
he
still have to get up there. And Willie Cauley-Stein is already that high.
You put the ball at 11.5 feet, you're probably going to get a touchdown.
Yep, pretty much. Put it at 12 feet.
I'd love to see it because he's a football guy. He actually played baseball in high school where he succeeded as well. He's very athletic.
It would be fun to watch.
I'd love to see a 7-footer on a football field. You know any 7-footers that played football?
No. I think one dude was like 6'10" at Army.
How tall was Chichester?
6'8".
6'8". Pretty damn tall.
Yeah, worst hands ever.
Worst hands ever. He did catch a ball against Kentucky, of course.
Yeah, and he actually hit some
played
shots
and he-
in a
and he-
basketball game.
Yeah, but they still lost, though.
Did Louisville lose that game?
Actually, that might have been
No,
the
I
Sosa
thought-
3-point shot.
I think it was during the Gillespie era actually, and I think that he actually Louisville won that game. If I could be wrong, but because
Hey.
we go back 5 years, all these things start running together.
I was wrong. I said next week. Takari Johnson's announcing tonight.
Tonight.
It's tonight on ESPN. His game's on ESPN too.
Well, what are
John
you
Hancock
doing?
just messaged me. I read it wrong. Luckily, John was listening and he cured me. Thanks, John.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
At John
Mr.
KY.co, Mr. Hancock.
There's
great
a
work.
funny video of me and Chris Hatfield of Inside the Ville. We're standing on the sideline at Rutgers, and we're kind of nervous. It was before Louisville scored their go-ahead field goal.
Mm-hmm.
And we're standing there begging, wondering where John is, begging for him because John's like a little good luck charm. If he is at the game, you can bet that Louisville's going to win. And so it's kind of funny. We haven't posted that anywhere. It's in my own personal footage. But I was watching it.
Maybe you can send that out down the road.
I was watching it, and I was laughing pretty
I
hard.
did ESPN quickly here. We're almost at the end of the show. While we were on the basketball, ESPN put out their power rankings for the SEC. Kentucky at 2, 4-1. Not too surprising.
yeah.
Missouri 3, Tennessee 4.
Wow.
Ole Miss, Arkansas, down the list it goes. Outside of, like I mentioned to you, Mark, I would say Tennessee could make a late run as it did last year. They need German Mayman back.
I'm kind of surprised they have Missouri behind Kentucky, but that says a lot. But
That's what
what I didn't understand, though, this was something that I meant to say earlier, was how did Louisville drop in the polls after beating Kentucky?
How did Kentucky not move up after almost beating a number 3 team in the nation on the road?
I don't understand.
It was
that.
confusing on both halves. I thought the exact same thing. I was like, what's going on? How did Louisville drop?
Not that college basketball polls truly matter. They might at the 40 mark, like the RPIs to get in.
Yeah, it
and
matters
out
outside of when you're getting around the bubble team.
When you're bubble, it matters.
Yes.
But when you're top 30, it really doesn't matter.
It really does not matter.
But I didn't understand why that happened. It was like one of those things where I was like, how does Louisville beat Kentucky and drop from 3rd to 4th?
Who knows?
Doesn't make
Mark,
any sense.
it's been a fun show.
I think so too.
I'm glad you're back.
I am glad to be back.
I'm glad you're back. Again, big day in recruiting. 1 o'clock p.m. Wave 3 NBC. You'll be able to watch the U.S. Army All-American game where James Quick will announce his college decision between Louisville and Ohio State. It seems you'll see Jason Hatcher play. You'll see a lot of UK commitments. Recruits playing that are very high, 4 stars, a quarterback Asante Ward. You also get tonight Takari Johnson making his college decision, number 1 center for 2013, if I'm correct, on ESPNU at around 8 p.m. And, of course, tonight at 7, right here on 1450 Sports Buzz. Tune in for the pregame show and the 7:30 tip-off of Christian Academy Louisville, Christian Academy Indiana, Charlie Jenkins. Mark, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You enjoy the rest of yours.
I appreciate it. Everybody check us out tomorrow right here, 10 to noon on the Weekend Sports Buzz.